Yo, how you doing? Hopefully by now you've started taking action on the information that you've been given, and you've already started to notice some difference and get some results. If that's not been the case, then ask yourself why. Why are you not taking action? Because remember, it's all the processes that you complete that form the habitual daily lifestyle that you follow that gives you the outcomes that you're looking for. And if you're not taking action, you're not going to get any results. So think about that. Ask yourself, if you're not doing it, why am I not doing it? What am I afraid of? Am I afraid of improving and being pain free? Because if so, there's some work to be done up here. Anyway, the purpose of this video is to basically summarize everything that you've seen so far and to put it into almost like a checklist for you. This will explain to you where you need to start, what you need to focus on, how far you can potentially take this if you so choose. So the first thing to think about is removing pain triggers, and that's postures, movements, activities that are causing you more pain. If you're the kind of person that says, every time I sit like this it hurts, but don't sit like that. If bending over and touching your toes hurts your back, don't bend over and touch your toes. Remove the movements and the postures that trigger more pain. At some point towards the end of this, you might be able to go back to doing some of those things. But if there are things that you're currently doing that are triggering more back pain, then stop doing them. Change them or adjust them in some way. And one of the big things here to really focus on is your sleep position. Find a posture, a position in bed that enables you to be able to sleep comfortably and soundly, and means that you're less likely to wake up in crippling pain. Then you need to start reprogramming your mindset. All that stuff that I talked about pain catastrophizing. If you're that guy, if you're that person that's doing that, if you're the sort of person with a very pessimistic outlook, you need to find ways to reframe your thinking. Instead of thinking things like, I'm in so much pain all the time, I'm never going to get any better, if I lift that weight it's going to make my back hurt. Reframe that and turn it into a positive. Flip it on its head. My pain will get better. Lifting that weight will make my back better if I lift it correctly. Things like that. So reprogramming that language, those conversations that you have in your head. Think of it like a filter. So positive thinking isn't like, just walking around all airy-fairy and hippie and, hey man, everything's great, because life isn't like that. So all the pessimistic stuff has optimistic stuff as well. Every placebo has a nocebo, so you've got to filter out the negatives and focus more on the positives. Obviously you're going to be doing the McGill Big 3 or some variation of that. You need to be stabilising the core and improving the muscular endurance of the muscles along the back and the spine. The McGill Big 3 is a great starting point for that. If you're at that level where more intense exercise is currently not possible for you, that's where you need to be starting. And then concurrently, while doing that, working on your hip and spine mobility. Talked about that. I've given you some exercises for that. So every day, McGill Big 3, hip mobility, mid-spine mobility to begin with at the very least, and then intermittently, as you get better, incorporate those things into your warm-ups, into your cool-downs, or do them on your recovery days, or just factor it in a couple of times a week just to keep yourself ticking over. Think of it as you get better. Think of it as moving from rehab to prehab, like a preemptive strike. Then you also need to think about improving your nutrition and your hydration if you haven't already done so. If you don't already follow a decent nutritional approach, a healthy balanced diet with a good portion of protein at every meal, if you're not eating enough vegetables, if you're not drinking enough fluids, start doing that. Start giving a shit about what goes into your mouth, because that makes a big difference, not just to your physical health but to your mental health as well. And then you need to start getting stronger. So once you've stabilised the lower back and you've started improving the mobility in those key areas and you're starting to feel better, your chronic pain is less severe or it's happening less regularly, then you really need to start getting strong. Progressive overload strength training, at the very least, just go to the gym and do some push-pull exercises on the machines. I've given you a strength and conditioning sample workout template to follow, so follow that or do it your own way, but get stronger all the way through your body. And then you can start to develop your athleticism. So then you're looking at specific dynamic movements and exercises to develop explosive strength and power. So if you're somebody who exercises or plays a sport and your back has prevented you from enjoying that for any length of time, this is now the stage where you can start getting back and find your true athletic potential once again. And if you're the person that's never been that way, maybe now's a good time to become that person and start living your life like a recreational athlete. And then eventually at the end of it, you've got skills development as well. So if you are an athlete, you can start incorporating some of your skills work in as well. And by now, you shouldn't be getting as much chronic pain, or you've learned how to manage your chronic pain better. So as I say, the incidences of that happening are less regular, and when they do happen, they last for short periods of time. And never be afraid to go back to scratch. Sometimes you do get a flare up, sometimes you do hurt yourself and everything goes back to scratch. When that happens, don't catastrophize it, don't panic, just reset, go back to the beginning, go back to doing the McGill Big 3 and the hip and spine mobility stuff, removing those pain triggers and start again afresh. And if you do injure yourself in the gym, if you're doing a deadlift and you feel your back click and it all tenses up, again, don't panic. It's, if you can still stand, then you're not broken, you're not made of glass. You might just need to deload for a few days and then start building things back up again, and again work on those mobility drills. So that is it in a nutshell. I've just summed it up for you. So I just wanted to give you this really kind of straightforward linear plan. If you haven't watched the initial video, the presentation, go back and watch it. If you have watched it, go back and watch it again. Watch it in 2 or 3 sittings, break it down. But go over this stuff, keep reading through it, keep watching the videos until it sinks in, and then let me know if you've got any questions. Hit me up on social media, drop me an email. I'd love to see you doing your exercises, so film yourself, put it on Instagram and tag in TM Fitness UK. Okay, so it's over to you now. It's up to you. You've got to take action. I've given you everything you need to improve. It's now up to you to do the work. Laters.